Chapter 72. Coca-Cola. When I saw the advert on the British Swimming website, work experience with Coca-Cola, I didn't really think anything of it, because I wasn't going to get a job working for someone quite as incredible as Coca-Cola, was I? I sent my CV anyway and couldn't quite understand it when I received an interview in Loughborough. Adrian and I thought it would just be a fun trip up to Loughborough and went up there all smiles. The interview was quite exciting because although I did have one interview where a couple of people asked me questions, I also had a teamwork meeting where a group of the interviewees had a task for which we needed to work as part of a team to be able to do it. I found this very interesting, as the louder individuals always show their face first, giving their opinions. I held back watching until I was certain how to do it, then gave my ideas. At the interview, I met Darryl Jelinek for the first time. Darryl was in charge of the Olympic section of the Coca-Cola, organising all the drinks, both for the summer and the winter Olympic Games, and eventually Paralympic Games. Darryl is incredible, and I will tell you about him soon. In the end, Coca-Cola offered me many things, including work experience, hope, support, and they offered me a place on their Academy of Excellence, which made me feel so special. As part of the Academy of Excellence, I worked with Coca-Cola for 2 one-week sessions every year for 2 years, running up until London 2012 Paralympics, and have therefore worked in different parts of the business, and now know how they work. Coca-Cola is a huge business, with almost every person in the world knowing what Coke is. What an incredible company. They apparently picked me and another girl out of all the 20 people who went to the interview because of our personality and drive to do well. I fitted their criteria perfectly, and apparently I did exceptionally well at the interview. During the 4 days that I worked in their offices in Hammersmith, London, I was told that I worked extremely hard. There is a definite link between the elite athlete and top performance in the business environment, and Coca-Cola wanted to join these two types of people together. It was also an inspiration for the company's employees to meet the emerging Olympians. These athletes were the best of the best. Could the sports people give their drive and determination to the employees of Coca-Cola? The answer was yes. Coca-Cola's employees found it so exciting that they were meeting and chatting to, and in some cases working with the Olympic athletes for London 2012, the same people they will be cheering on their television sets. For me, it was a similar buzz working for this inspirational company. Adrian stayed in the hotel all week with me while I worked in London, and I came back every evening telling him what I had done, and I was so excited about going to work the next day. My work ethic and enthusiasm seemed to promote hope and inspiration into the team, and Darryl heard all these positive comments about me and had to come and see me in action. Darryl was very impressed, and we have been good friends ever since. On another occasion, Darryl told me all about his children, Joe and Amy, and how much Amy especially would love to meet me. In the end, we went for a Chinese meal and became friends as we all got on so well. Amy is my star supporter, her words, and an incredible friend. We have been all swimming together. Joe was very good, and Amy loved me throwing her around the pool, and we have been for many meals. Darryl also asked me to do a speech for Amy's school, as it was an end-of-term presentation evening. I obviously said yes. Darryl asked me if I would like some help to write the speech, and I said yes, please. So we sat down, and Darryl jotted some notes down on the back of an envelope. I still look at these notes and Darryl's tips, as they were perfect. The speech in front of the school was very good, and I was quite impressed with everything I had said. I was later invited to another school in London to do another speech, which also went down very well. Thank you, Darryl, for your lovely recommendations and for your excellent tips. I feel so pleased to have met all the incredible Jelinek family. 27th of September 2011. Inspiring Personal Best. This project was one of the first that I did for Coca-Cola. I was asked to produce a presentation, and then do a speech for a few important members of the Coca-Cola Olympics team. This was quite hard because Coca-Cola seemed to have everything already. What could I do to make it any better? Something for disabled people like me would be an idea. I knew that Coca-Cola was already a huge sponsor for the Olympics. Why couldn't they be a huge sponsor for the Paralympics too? I set off finding out loads of information about important disabled sports people and the lives of disabled people. I found out about the good and bad parts of being disabled in any sports place, and I looked at the importance of handrails on steps to help people down the steps. When my speech came, I felt a little nervous, but I knew my speech was strong. And when I started off by reading a lovely poem which had been written by a girl with cerebral palsy about her life and her love of sports, I could tell people were interested in what I was saying. I finished the speech and the whole group clapped for me. This was not expected. Well done, Stephanie. That was a very good speech. Perfect. The team informed me that they had agreed to fund the Paralympics too, but were going to wait for a little while before telling everyone. I felt so special that I had been told this important news before the rest of the world found out. October 2011. Judging Olympic Torch Relay. I had worked my way all the way around Coca-Cola's business, working in different areas, such as standing on the side of the street handing out drinks to people as they rushed to work, and sitting in meetings being involved in Skype conversations. I loved working with Coca-Cola. A short time before one of my trips to London to work with Coca-Cola, I was sent an email. This email was such an incredible email. Basically, the email asked me to be part of the judging panel for the Olympic Torch Relay. Wow, what an incredible opportunity. When I arrived at Hammersmith to start judging, I smiled and smiled and smiled. This was amazing. In one room, there were loads of past Olympic torches all on display. Adrian and I went into the room and couldn't believe our eyes. We could touch them and play with them. Look at these torches, Adrian said, absolutely amazed by them. Each one was very individual, and I felt so honoured to be stood in this room with all these incredible torches. The next part was my bit of work, where I sat at a table with a computer. The computer showed different people's application forms to carry the Olympic torch. This was a blind interview really, so we didn't know anything about the person making the application, whether they were male or female, or British, or from another country. It was totally blind for fairness of this selection. I had to read their application and give them a score on different aspects of the criteria. Some of the stories were very heartwarming, and I scored them very highly, and others seemed like they just filled out the form just in case they could be chosen, even though they didn't necessarily deserve to be chosen in relation to some other stories. These I scored less well. After I had done all the grading, I left the room. Adrian, some people are incredible. You should hear what they have done. I was overwhelmed by some of the stories. Another email was sent to me later in the year, saying that I had been chosen to carry the Olympic torch on the relay, and I had been asked where I would like to carry it. I said thank you very much, and Bath, but unfortunately the date that the torch was coming through Bath, I was on a training camp. In the end, Adrian and I and my mum and Nick Woodall went to Liverpool to watch me carry the torch. What an amazing experience. I will share it with you in chapter 74. 8th of December 2011, Christmas party at the Royal Opera House, Covent Garden. When I received an invitation for me and one other person, Adrian, to attend the Royal Opera House for Coca-Cola's Christmas party, I was over the moon. I found a perfect outfit, and Adrian and I turned up with smiles on our faces. The 3-course meal we were served was fantastic, and all the excitement was incredible. Halfway through the meal, we had a surprise rendition of the musical performed by the Royal Opera House's orchestra and their vocalists. It was absolutely amazing. Adrian and I had an incredible night listening to somebody playing a harp for us too, and then we did a lot of chatting. People were starting to get excited about London 2012 Olympics, which were just around the corner. Thank you again, Coca-Cola, for a wonderful experience. 1st of June 2012, Westfield, Dizzy Rascal. When I was asked to go to a shopping centre, Westfield, which was built right next to the Olympic Village, I jumped at the chance. Dizzy Rascal, a rapper that loads of people know, was going to be there with me. But I had to keep this a secret because the shopping centre could only hold 3,000 people, and if word got out that Dizzy was going to perform, the place would be mayhem. The press seemed to know that something big was going to happen, because they kept on asking us who was turning up. The crowd started increasing around the stage that was made up of in the centre of the shopping centre. When Dizzy arrived, it was time for our appearance. About 7 of us athletes walked up onto the stage, and the compere introduced us and asked us questions about our sports and our ambitions. The 1,000-strong crowd cheered every time a new athlete was introduced. They were so good as they really got into the atmosphere. Us athletes were almost the introduction for Dizzy himself, who came out all excited. He was jumping around trying to get everyone to sing with him, and someone grabbed his t-shirt and started pulling, so everyone else started pulling too. Dizzy loved it. Bonkers. This was another great experience, and Adrian and I loved it. On one of my weeks staying in London, I met the marketing team, who were full of new ideas to promote Coca-Cola. During this week, I was approached by Olivia, who was a lovely person. Olivia told me that she was the link with Coca-Cola's charity Street Games, which is a sports charity that brings sports to the doorstep of young people in disadvantaged communities around the UK. Olivia told me that if I wanted to organise a Street Games event, Coca-Cola could fund it for me if they thought it was a good project. A few other sports people had already done this and had chosen one child who won a prize to teach them how to do a specific sport, and there was a judo guy who worked with a small group of children to teach them how to do or how to play judo. What could I do? This was such a lovely idea. I would be helping lots of underprivileged children, and they would have a great time too. I needed to organise something. Swimming? As soon as I had something planned, I would be able to apply for a bursary, so everything needed to be done perfectly. I needed a venue. I needed to produce some paperwork to tell people what I was doing. I needed links to the local paper, and I needed to contact the local council, because then I could use their help with assistance on the day. This was so exciting. This was a perfect opportunity for me to help more people. I started to write down my notes and ideas. It's a knockout? Might be too much for the children. Swimming competition? What would happen if they can't swim? Mini Olympics? There might have been too many sports for one day, which is why the Olympics cover such a long period of time. Adrian said maybe try a triathlon, but this seemed a bit too big for a Street Games festival. All of these ideas were flying around my head, but in the end, the most perfect idea stayed. The festival publicity was put onto a flyer. It was amazing. Street Games and Stephanie Millward Ambassador Bursary Partnership. Street Games are delighted to confirm that Stephanie Millward has accepted our invitation to become one of our sporting ambassadors. In conjunction with Coca-Cola GB, we are also delighted to announce that Stephanie has been awarded a Street Games Ambassador Bursary, funded by the Coca-Cola Youth Foundation, to be used to support her local Street Games project. We appreciate that Stephanie already has a number of commitments, and that she needs to concentrate on and prepare for 2012 Games. We are most grateful of Claire's support of Street Games. Do not seek to infringe upon her professional endeavours, and are more than happy to work around her existing obligations. Street Games envisages the following partnership work: to be able to announce on Street Games and or Coca-Cola's website Stephanie Millward as one of our sporting ambassadors, and her support of Splash and Sprint Street Games project, which will receive the bursary. Stephanie to provide a quote and be available for a short visit to the ambassador's local project, or the location they are supporting through the bursary if this is different to the project location, at or near the time of announcement. We would hope to generate media coverage for this in the form of a one-to-one interview with a national newspaper, national TV station, and/or local media. We will also include a photo and/or short online video on Street Games and Coca-Cola GB's website and/or staff intranet. Stephanie to answer 4 brief questions as part of the bursary or follow-up report, which is to be completed by the project manager of the local Street Games project that the bursary has been awarded to maximise the benefit of the bursary allocation to other Street Games projects in the future. Attendance at a Street Games mass participation or neighbourhood festival in 2012, UK travel costs reimbursed. To follow Stephanie through Street Games' social media network, Twitter and Facebook, so that the young people in Street Games projects can follow his or her career and journey towards London 2012 and send their own messages of support. Stephanie to follow Street Games' social media and contribute when appropriate. To be able to give semi-regular updates for Street Games websites, www.streetgames.org, ideally monthly, but at least every 3 months, on progress throughout 2012. This could be in the form of updates provided by the ambassador or an ambassador's behalf by their coach or governing body, and could include written or video updates or an informal conversation with us over the phone, whichever the ambassador prefers. The ambassador to provide us with typical day's training schedule, work commitments. We feel this has a great relevance to all of the young people in our projects. Benefits for Street Games Bursary Ambassadors. Association with award-winning national charity and its partners. Media opportunities at Street Games events and ambassador sign-up announcement to help build ambassadors' profile. Benefits for Street Games Bursary Ambassadors. Association with award-winning national charity and its partners. Media opportunities at Street Games events and ambassador sign-up announcement to help build ambassadors' profile. Regional or national networking opportunities with Street Games network partners and stakeholders. Access to funding to develop local sporting opportunities in disadvantaged communities close to the ambassador's home or training venue. Personal development opportunities through the Street Games Training Academy. Opportunity for ambassador to attend a media training session in conjunction with Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola's London 2012 Ambassador Gift Pack includes Adidas London 2012 tracksuit top and bottoms, Powerade t-shirt and water bottle. UK travel costs are reimbursed for attendance at Mass Participation Festival. Adam Smith. I had planned my event, spoken with all the relevant people, and had been awarded the money to enable myself and Gareth Gavier, a friend from Swansea who worked for the council, to organise this Street Games event at the Wales National Pool in Swansea. My plan was to choose 10 children who were complete non-swimmers, and then to teach them how to swim in 10 one-hour swimming sessions once a week for 10 weeks before I held a Street Games festival where the children would swim and all the non-swimmers would be able to swim with the other swimmers and do all the other sports too. It also allowed me the funding to employ a couple of coaches to help me teach the 10 non-swimmers with learning difficulties how to swim. It was amazing. Thank you, Coca-Cola. The Street Games Festival was organised for the 7th of July. So 10 weeks before the 7th of July, I went to the pool to meet the 10 non-swimmers who we were going to teach to swim. It was such an amazing experience. We went to the smaller 25-metre pool where we spoke to each of the swimmers about swimming, and then we got them in. A couple of the children were scared of water, so we worked slowly with them. I went to most of the sessions, but I had a training camp and therefore missed 2 of their sessions, but the other coaches were brilliant. By the time the 10 weeks were up, all of the children could swim well, and I was so proud of each and every one of them. The Street Games event came and there was publicity everywhere, with lots of posters up on the walls. I was so excited. We had named the event Splash and Sprint because we were doing other street games activities such as running and ball games outside on Swansea University's athletic fields, as well as the swimming. Splash and Sprint, 7th of July 2012, at the Wells National Pools. Doors opened at 9 a.m. and many children signed in and received their sports games coloured t-shirt, depending on which team they were put in. Unfortunately, street games were not able to book a coach to bring the children to the pool, so only 50 children were able to get themselves to the pool for this event. But that was quite enough. The 10 children we taught to swim were buzzing, and I couldn't wait to see them swim and show everyone else what they had learnt. I loved every minute of the day, and it was such a shame when it was over. I said goodbye and good luck to each of the 10 children we had taught to swim, and I asked them to believe in themselves. Anything is possible. A few weeks later, I heard that 4 of the swimmers had started swimming training with one of the local swimming clubs, and that another 4 were having private lessons to get better before they joined a club. I was so incredibly proud of them, and so impressed with the success of the whole event. Thank you, Coca-Cola, and thank you, Street Games, and thank you, Swansea Council, for your help.